guys, welcome. Hi, I'm so happy to have you guys. Today I'm really excited for this live because I have Kathryn Thompson who's going to be talking about ethical practices in sales and marketing. And so for you guys who don't know Kathryn, she is joining us. Let me get her on here right now. Give me 1 second. But for anyone that doesn't know Kathryn, she is the founder of Creatively Owned, and she helps solo entrepreneurs with content that converts. So, hi, Kathryn.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good. You can hear me good, right?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, we can.
Perfect.
Awesome. So yeah, we are going to be talking about how purpose-driven entrepreneurs and ecopreneurs can sell their products and their services ethically. So I've been having
Yeah.
so many conversations about this, and kind of how I connected with Kathryn was I read one of her blog posts that was like so spot on. So I wanted to invite her onto this live. But before we start, Kathryn, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. I'm a marketing communication expert. I help online entrepreneurs really master their messaging. So my big purpose and vision is really to help people share their message, impactful message with the world in a truthful, ethical way, and a one that's grounded in their truth. So really helping them create that impact in the world with words and content and communication and messaging is what I do and what I'm good at. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time because this topic has been coming up so much, and I don't know if it's just because, once you get something in your head or like you see, I don't know, you talk about the
Yeah,
same car, you keep seeing that car popping up everywhere. Like this whole last
totally.
week, it keeps popping up and I keep having these conversations. So I appreciate you taking the time. And for anyone that is with us in this live or within the replay, you can ask questions. Ask questions during this live, and then if you're in the replay, ask questions in the comments, and I'm sure Kathryn will, help you with those questions as well. So
Yeah.
awesome. But yeah, I guess first off, just to start, I know we had some questions prior that were submitted, so I definitely want to get to those first.
Yeah.
And I think just diving right in, how do I know if my sales practices or techniques are unethical?
Yeah, so awesome question. And so I think the blog post that you were referring to that you read was like the 4 sales tactics I wish we'd stop using.
Right.
Was that the one
Yes.
that you read? Yeah. So, and
Correct.
those are really, so I guess the first thing where you want to start with is do you feel like you're stretching the truth in order to land the client, the sales, or make more money in your business? And so, really figuring out what is truthful and honoring that truth for yourself. And so anytime you stretch the truth to get the sale, to me feels unethical, right? So there is a bit of manipulation there to try and get somebody to buy based on stretching the truth. And so the blog post that I wrote really was, we hear a lot about false scarcity, right? So 4 spots left in my program, um, you know, time is running out, 4 items available, right? And so there is this scarcity practice, but then there's the false part of that, which comes into play when we think about like 4 spots left in a program or 4 items of left, and really there isn't. Like there's 10 products left, or there's like 15 spots left in the program. And so
Right.
really it's really understanding, I guess, what is truthful for you and how much are you stretching that truth to land a sale is like probably the first place to start. And then really looking at, the practices you have in place in your business. And sometimes we don't even know we're doing it. Sometimes it's just we've
Right.
emulated a tactic from somebody else. So there's no shame in that. It's just really kind of taking a look, taking an inventory of your business and seeing where you might be stretching the truth to get that sale. Yeah.
No, yeah, definitely. I remember in the blog post too, it was like your example was specifically like I'm gonna start a marketing coaching program, and if I have 5 spots,
Yeah.
instead of saying like, oh, I only have, 2 spots left, but technically like how many spots do I actually have? Or if it's
Yeah.
actually being truthful and just saying, hey, I'm, you know,
I can support only like five people, and then giving
Yeah.
them an update, right? On like, I'm at 3 to 5 people now, or now I have only one spot out of the 5 people left. Um,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
kind of the two sides of it, right?
Yeah, and you can see the transparency there, right? As like, so when I launched my coaching program, I really had the capacity for 5 women in my program. And so they knew that up front. And so you can't lie, because if you said, oh, I only have one spot left, and somebody comes into the program and they're like, wait a minute, there's only 2 people in here. What are you talking about, right? You can't lie about that or stretch the truth. And so for me, I was very upfront with my people, saying, because there is a scarcity piece. I'm not saying scarcity is necessarily a bad thing, or exclusivity or any of that is bad. It's just that I was like, there's 5 spots, and I would just count down as people filled them. And that way there is that full transparency there. And the other one was like exclusivity that we talk about. And I don't think a lot of people talk about false exclusivity. We talk about scarcity a lot, but we don't talk about false exclusivity. And that's just creating an exclusive program or membership for certain people. And that it does happen. So in the coaching space, I see it a lot, where it's like you have to apply for this, exclusive package, but really everybody's getting in, right? And that to me is that false exclusivity. Whereas I use the example of universities, right? You have to apply, and the baseline is usually grade point average. And then if you're competing with a bunch of other people to get into university, then there's like volunteer work, maybe there's entrance exams, maybe there's an essay you have to write. Like, that is more exclusive. They're really maintaining the standard of what they're selling, right? That's the downfall of like false exclusivity when we put that out there, is that you're actually not keeping the standard of the program or whatnot that you're offering. So that is the impact of that. Yeah.
Right. And just for anyone that joined in, so it's basically like how to know if your sale practices and techniques are unethical. It is bending the truth, is pretty much that kind of boundary, right?
Yes, totally. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, and then I guess, and let's see, same goes, I have a question here.
Fake
Same goes for
discounts.
fake discounts, time bound, and what are the other false exclusivity tricks?
Yeah, so fake discounts for sure. The time bounded, I do believe in deadlines. Again, like applying for university or applying for a program. If you're running a live program, then you do have to have a deadline for people to enter into that program. So I do understand the deadline, but for me, it's giving people, depending on what you're offering, what you're selling, or price point, giving people enough time, or even putting the price up front. We don't see that a lot in the online space. It's something I want to start doing in my business. I've not necessarily advertised my pricing up front, but it's something that I know the next time I run my program, the price is going to be there, because I get that it might turn some people off, but at the end of the day, when I'm buying, I want to know the price, and not because I feel like I can't afford it, but if it's a big ticket investment, like grad school, for instance, I went to grad school. It wasn't something that I could just be like, I'm going to grad school tomorrow. It was a $20,000 investment. So I needed to plan for that. And so I think giving people the opportunity to maybe budget, giving people like a 4-day window to invest $5,000 or $6,000 or $10,000 in a program seems crazy to me, because it's not something most people, I don't know, it's not something that I'm just going to drop $6,000 on in 4 days, especially if I've just met you or am just learning about your business and that sort of thing. And so I just think it's giving people the time. And then in terms of false exclusivity tricks, a really good one is, I always ask people, so when they say you have to apply and it's based on these, I ask for criteria, and very specific criteria. So that I can see, okay, is this standard being maintained in the program, or this standard being maintained in what they're offering, right? And that, again, the more you ask questions, the more the people have to be transparent in that, and that's how you're able to sort of see the truth, or whether or not it is somewhat of an unethical practice happening, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I try to be as transparent as possible, with things that I know, and how much time it takes me. I've also put that pricing, like a blog post, like I know how much an email takes me. I'll put that
Yeah.
pricing on my website, but things that are like campaigns, that could be anywhere from a week-long campaign to a month-long campaign. I really can't put that pricing. So that's where I do the custom quote. But
Totally.
again, I'm trying to be as transparent as possible with my
Yeah.
clients as well. And I think one thing too, it's okay. Like, for example, I had an event that I was hoping for, and I kept saying in my stories, like I kept saying,
Yeah.
I am hoping for 50 people to show up at this event. That is
Yeah.
my goal. I wanted 50 people. I didn't guarantee 50 people are going to show up if someone bought a
Yeah.
ticket. And I think that is kind of the line of like, just being transparent as possible, but not, just guaranteeing things or stating claims and stuff like that.
Yeah, certainty is a big one, right? So we see
Right.
that often of like, if you do this, you are guaranteed to get this, which is like, we can't really make certain claims in a lot of things, right? It really does depend. And back to the custom quoting, I think that's amazing. Putting some prices up front so they see some of your pricing, but obviously, yes, if it's a custom project or that sort of thing. But to me, that's transparent in a lot of ways, just having that custom quote there, right? Like that they have an opportunity to talk to you more about putting a package together that best suits their needs and your needs. So yeah.
Let me see if we have any more questions. I think we're good. We're caught up.
Yeah.
And one thing too, I was just talking to someone about, time bound. I meant offer only for a specific day of the month or time to create a higher priced value.
Yeah. So again, that does create some unethical, because it's kind of like, why is it only available on this day? If they can give you a really good reason, great. But yes, not increasing perceived value based on only offering at certain times a day is definitely an unethical way of trying to increase sales, for sure.
Yeah, and it could be something, I think maybe like within your stories and stuff, like if I don't know, if a client maybe, I don't know, something happened and now you actually have some more available time in your schedule and now you can, take more clients on, or this is why you're doing this discount of, that flash sale, because now I have some time, like I have this weekend that's free, so I can put out more content calendars. I can support 2 people.
Totally.
That's when I think it is kind of like you're telling the reason why that flash sale is coming, instead of saying it's a flash sale and then people are like, oh, I need to do it now because this is the only time she's going to do it.
And then it happens every month. Yeah, totally.
Right.
And I see people do like birthday sales, right? It's my birthday today, so I'm giving you a 50% off discount code from my store, which I think is great. It's just exactly that. The more transparent you can be with why you're offering whatever sale, discount, how your things are structured, the more truthful it comes across to your audience. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say that I had a conversation with someone in the ecopreneur earlier, and it was just kind of acknowledging that, within the sustainability world, I feel like we keep seeing greenwashing. So, and for anyone that does not know what greenwashing it is just like all the companies and businesses that are stating these, environmental claims. You may be familiar with just like the terms that they throw out, like eco-friendly, sustainable, organic, and it's like they're not certified, or they don't tell you the reason of like what makes them eco-friendly. And I just felt really elevated right now of this conversation because we're talking to the business owners that can like change these practices, right?
Yeah.
And so I just love this conversation with you because I was just like, we're talking to the business owners that like if they're, and we're not shaming you in any way too, of like, like you were saying, Kathryn, like it could have been something that you saw another person doing and you kind of like adopted your way. And then, but you're acknowledging it and you're just kind of getting yourself like an audit, like you're checking yourself and that you can fix it now. Right?
Totally. Yeah.
Another question that we had was, what are some tips in talking about the competition? So, and I think an example was when an ideal client mentions a competitor, how do I redirect the conversation? So it's more about them and not towards maybe talking negatively about that competitor.
100%. So yeah, definitely don't ever bash or try to position yourself better than them in terms of you're better because of this and they don't do X, Y, and Z, but you do X, Y, and Z, but more focused on what you do differently. So always bringing it back and making it about yourself. But the other thing about competitors, and when your ideal client or customer or whatever comes to you and they mention it, I always think it's such a great opportunity to learn about the competitor and what it is that your customer or client is interested about them. So I always say, okay, so what is it about their business that, it makes you want to, think about them or consider them? Because that really helps you understand from their perspective what they're looking for. And then you can redirect, hey, you know what, that's great, but this is what we offer over here. So it's a quick redirect. It's like, so what is it about the competitor that you're most intrigued about or interested about? Oh, well, great. I have a solution for this over here. And then it's a quick redirect. You're not just, putting them down or whatever, but you're showing what you can do to help fill the need that they have in that moment, because that's really what's happening is they're trying to decide, do I go with you or do I go with them, and who's the best fit? And at the end of the day, they get to choose. Your customer is the one who has the ultimate power to choose who they end up working with. And so it's just, figuring out how can you learn and get curious about what your customers, why they're asking the questions they ask, why they're interested in the people that they're interested in, because that's just more learning for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that redirect too, because instead of you shaming them or like talking negatively about them, about like their services or their products, like you're not the person that should be talking about them. You're not you're not the spokesperson for them. So it's more of like, let me just kind of get like a key insight, and then I'm going to show you like how I'm unique, or how I can solve your problem, which is awesome.
Totally.
I like that.
Yeah.
Let me just check. I think we're good on questions. And then one, and this is definitely regarding us and sustainability and everything, is how do we sell products and services in regards to the environment and climate change that are political? So do you have any ethical practices you would suggest?
Yeah, so I look at political and ethical very differently. And so ethical is done in a way, so if you're selling something that's political or controversial, especially around climate change and that sort of thing, that's going to create ruffles anyways with people, because not everyone's going to agree with what you're selling. So to me, I don't think that you should stop selling something that's political or putting yourself out there. I actually think that if you really believe in what you're selling, for whatever reason it is, climate change, sustainability, helping the world be a better place, eco-friendly, whatever it might be, that you continue to do that, right? And so not letting the people who might politically disagree with you, because to me it's a very different thing. It's so still standing in your ground and doing that. But then in terms of ethical practices, one of the things you mentioned, Erica, was like not listing things that aren't, if you're not certified organic, if you're not certified eco-friendly, like not using those things to sell. But if it is something, a selling feature you want to have, could you source from somewhere else? Could you work with another company to get more eco-friendly ingredients in, or whatever it might be? And so really kind of separating the two. Political to me is very different. I think that climate change product, like things that are helping with climate change and eco-friendly and sustainability, are so important. So keep doing that regardless of what the political sphere is going to say, because they're not going to agree with you. It is a very controversial topic with a lot of people. That doesn't mean you should stop doing it. And then the other piece of ethical is just really make sure the claims you're making about the products that you are selling are legit.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I would think they are completely separate, because especially even with marketing and your brand and everything, companies, even now, I feel like way more like they're taking a stance on certain issues. They're political, they're controversial, and that's the marketing, that's the brand behind it. But ethical is definitely something like truthful, transparent, not bending the truth. Yeah. So I completely agree with you on those two standpoints.
Yeah, and the whole thing about creating a brand that stands for something and is actually making a change and impacting, right, is what actually people rally behind, right? That's how you create that powerful messaging, and that brand is like people want to invest in things that matter on a bigger scale. So climate change, right, is a big one, and people are going to want to look for sustainable products, eco-friendly products, organic and just better ways to protect our planet.
Yeah, definitely. And then following question, how do we stay away from social pressure and guilting people?
Yeah, so I always kind of approach it in this fashion is, there isn't a right or wrong. And so the motto that I live by is my truth is not the truth. And so I'm not here to change people's opinions, make them feel like they're doing something wrong or that they're, so my messaging is not about that. And I think for lots of business, it shouldn't be about that, right? And especially climate change, eco-friendly products, right? If somebody doesn't agree with it and they're not adopting this, or they don't even believe in it. Some people don't even believe in climate change. So it's like, it's not, I think, the mission isn't to prove them wrong. And in your messaging shouldn't be, or your marketing should not be driven to prove them wrong, but more so educate people to change behavior or change perceptions or encourage people to consider using products that are eco-friendly and sustainable, and why they should do that, right? And so for me, I try to draw a very thick line in the sand of like, I understand that not everyone's going to agree with what I have to say, but if I know that I'm doing it in an ethical way that's creating impact, that's my purpose. And so I don't need to worry about what other people are doing, because it's not my responsibility to really change that. And I think that's we can turn our brands into being really good, impactful brands. But the shaming and guilt really starts to, I think, affect that, right? It can affect your business and your messaging and the people that you attract, right? Because if you're wanting to attract people that are wanting to do good and make a change and want to take a stance for something and who are ethical and transparent, we need to create practices in our businesses that are that way. Because if we don't, and we focus on guilting and shaming, you're going to attract a lot of people that just guilt and shame, right? Because they resonate with that message. Yeah.
Yeah, very well said. I definitely agree with that. And then one question too was, what can you do when you see friends and colleagues using troublesome tactics?
Yeah, so that's an awesome one, and such a great question. And for me, it's really the first thing I always try to do is lead with compassion, no matter what, and then really quickly follow up with a level of curiosity for understanding, because sometimes they might be doing what they're doing because they don't know better, and so we have a 1 to 3 second period in that first interaction to really show or dictate how the rest of that interaction is going to go. And if we come at them attacking them in any way, like I'm wrong, you're right, or what you're doing is wrong, they're going to get defensive and you've already lost them no matter what. And this goes just in general life, right? Nobody wants to be told they're wrong or called out or whatever. It instantly puts up a wall and a defense, right? It's primal instinct. We don't want to be attacked or feel like we're being attacked. And so, and if you come from it from an understanding to that curiosity, you might realize that they are not even aware that the practices they're using. And then they're like, oh, wait a minute. Okay, I see what you're saying. And oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm doing that. And then they change. But if we come at them with that sort of forceful, you're wrong tactic right off the hop, they've already quit listening to you.
Yeah, you're wrong, I'm right, listen to me. Definitely want to not go through that.
Yeah. So compassion and come from a place of curiosity for understanding, just ask questions and they'll give you the answers. That's where we find the truth is just really asking people questions about what they're doing and what their intentions are. And I believe that most people are trying to do the best that they can. So it's not like people are, deliberately maybe going out there and doing that. They might not even know, that they're doing it. Yeah.
Awesome. And if you are on the live, let us know if you have any questions. Kathryn's amazing, and you guys should also follow her too. And she has a lot of new things coming up. Yeah. I was just listening to your IG stories. Do you want to share?
Yeah, so I'm in the midst of redesigning my website to reflect more of the services that I'm offering. I'm launching a podcast coming up here, so I'm super stoked about that. I've just been doing a lot of lives and honored to be guests on other people's lives, and so I just absolutely love it, and it's just a way for me to continue to share my message and create the impact that I want. And so yeah, I'm launching a podcast hopefully at the end of May, beginning of June. I have a podcast mentor to kind of keep me on on my toes to accountability to keep things rolling. But the essence of the blog really is to help people see that, or, you know, that they have the permission to carve their own path, define their own success, create a business and life on their own terms, and really kind of ditch the shoulds or something is right or wrong, you know, way of living, that they really can build a life that they want on their own terms. So that is the podcast. And then I'm also relaunching a new program coming up in June as well. Once the podcast, maybe it might be July.
Yeah, a lot of projects. I love it.
I know. So, and my podcast mentor was like, okay, so let's look at the checklist and let's map it out sort of in a time frame that's doable for you. Cause she's like, you want to launch a program too? And I was like, I do, but maybe let's just wait and see how this podcast goes. But I do have a new program that's coming out as well. Yeah, it's sort of like a culmination of what I've launched before, but really kind of evolved. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Congratulations. I know. I was like, oh, wow, a whole podcast. That's amazing. And then you just kept listing other things. And I was like, oh, she's got a lot.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful you took the time to just answer our questions and everything. I really appreciate it. I don't see any questions. I think we caught up, but if you're listening on the replay, then of course, comment your questions and tag Kathryn, or if you don't, I will tag Kathryn and we'll make sure to get those questions answered. And then how should people reach you?
Yeah, so I hang out mostly on Instagram at Creatively Owned. And then I'm also on Facebook at Creatively Owned as well. So yeah, you can come hang out with me there or follow along. And I've loved talking about, this is a topic I love talking about. So I so appreciate you reaching out to me and giving me an opportunity to come share with your audience. And your audience brought it with the questions that they have. They're all amazing questions.
Didn't they?
They did.
These points, I love them. So thank you guys so much. And yeah, I will link up, I will tag you, of course, within the IGTV video. And then someone wanted your blog post as well. So I'll probably try to link your blog post that I found within this so they can go to it.
Yeah, awesome. I can also send you a quick link of it so you don't have to go searching for it if you don't want to, but yeah.
I appreciate that. Let's do that.
Save you some time. Yeah.
Thank you. Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you so much and have a good day. Have a good day, everyone. And yeah, let us know if you have any questions.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Okay.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye.